Shut up and sit down.
What is up, wrestling fans? This is Beef the Legend here for the Pittsburgh Piledriver podcast with another episode of Beef Raw, where we talk about a lot of things. We'll talk about wrestling, we'll talk about football, mostly wrestling, some other stuff that's on my mind, because this is kind of my forum for that. First of all, I do want to thank, once again, bensound.com for the sound effects for my intro and outro bed. I really enjoy them. So, give them, if you need generic tunes for recording, give them a listen. Also want to thank our sponsors, because I don't think we did that last night. Casual Gaming Dad, Tiger Bomb Tom himself. Catch him over on Facebook. Look for Casual Gaming Dad. Also on Twitch and YouTube. You can catch Sean Tischler as well. And, get him up and about. Trying to get IWC back to Clearfield. Now that things are kind of slowly starting to open up again. We hope to get back up there and see a show or two. So yeah, sooner or later. Come on, Sean, get on it. As well, I definitely want to thank Frig Off Ransom. He has wonderful content over on YouTube, and we appreciate everything that he brings to the podcast with his crazy and, well, it's crazy. So, all that out of the way, got some things to talk about with wrestling. We did not do a conventional wrestling podcast last night. We did a YouTube, or Among Us Breaking Kayfabe episode, which was tremendous. Had a wonderful turnout, even though it didn't look like we were gonna for a long time. They filtered in, like, they stumbled in like drunks, and we had a great night of it. So go back and watch that on the replay over on Casual Gaming Dad's channel. I believe it's also going to be uploaded on the YouTube as well. In the future, if you want to get down on that, if you wanted to play some Among Us with the boys, we always enjoy doing that. Generally on Tuesday nights, we end up doing that a lot. We also do occasional Breaking Kayfabe episodes where we do that as well. So, join us. So last night we didn't end up mentioning much about wrestling, if anything. There is some contention with the Cruiserweight title. I'm not going to get into it. I don't want to step on Ransom's toes. I know the Mad King, has a plan, so I'm not going to interlope on that. All I want to say is that, points-wise, Bob Gray did officially beat Ransom. Now, there's some kerfuffle about, who Bob Gray is, and if you listen to our shows, you know who we think it is. So, yeah, there's some faffery about with that. Ransom says he's going to handle it. I'm going to let him handle it. Because the Mad King has never steered me wrong before. Except for whenever he leapt out of Stygian darkness when I was very drunk on Jägermeister and broke my ankle. But that's a story for a different episode. So let's get into the meat of it today. Mostly AEW talk. Because that's pretty much all I watched this week. I watched a little bit of NXT. Although, I gotta be honest, ever since last Monday night, when Karrion Kross lost, my heart hasn't been in it. I don't think I watched any of last week's episode, and I think I watched about an hour of this week's. So, I just, why get invested in something where it's just going to end up being something else in 6 months? That's a shitty way to look at it, but if there's no long-term booking, why should I watch? The internet will tell me if there's a great wrestling match on an episode of NXT. I'll keep watching the takeovers. I'm sure they'll be great. And I'll probably still watch NXT TV when I can. But it's not appointment viewing for me anymore because I just can't be bothered to care. So, I did watch most of Raw. I forgot about the first hour, so I did catch most of Raw. And obviously last week's Smackdown was big as well. Raw this week wasn't as bad, but it wasn't good either. There's not much to say about it. It was very bland. At least last week's episode was like inflammatory enough to talk about for us to really sink our teeth into and have fun with. This week's episode is exactly what plagues every single Raw every week. Blah. Bland. Boring. Skip. Last week of note, Finn Balor came back on SmackDown. I mean, he came back a couple weeks prior, but he came out and challenged Roman Reigns for the WWE Universal title at SummerSlam. Allegedly. I don't know if the challenge was for SummerSlam or not. Roman was out there to address the John Cena challenge for SummerSlam. He declined. So, of course, we're going to get the 3 weeks or so of will they or won't they. But, yeah. I mean, I'm excited for that match. I just, we'll see the build up. We'll see how exciting they can make it. So, that happened. I'm not happy about Balor being fed to Roman Reigns before the Cena match. I think that's pretty fucking stupid. But that's emblematic of the main roster. Take a great NXT guy. This guy basically went down to NXT and he remade his career. Became the Prince. And was a legit badass. Till Cross took him out. And now he's back to good old Blue Pants Balor. He'll lose to Roman Reigns. Hopefully it'll be a good match, but he'll lose on the road to SummerSlam so that Roman can beat Cena or Cena can beat Roman or whatever the case is going to be there. And that's that. Maybe in another 6 months Balor will come up for another main event shot and probably lose that one too. This is the way with the main roster. Sorry, I'm trying not to say a lot, and it's not working out too well. So sorry. Real quick, before I jump into AEW though, a neat little thing I read. No, not so neat really. You guys who know me know I'm a big MCU guy. I love the MCU movies. I won't call myself a comic book nerd. I didn't really have any comics growing up because, we were not that well off to buy comics every week. God knows there were tons and 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 tons of comics. But I like to think of myself as ingratiating myself in the content once I know about it. So, like, once I really found out about how awesome Spider-Man was, I kind of dove in and read a lot about what he did in the comics, who he was, how he operated, that whole spiel. Same with Venom, Carnage, that ilk. I did watch a lot of X-Men back in the day. I watched the Spider-Man animated cartoon. But the MCU is really where I thrive and really am enjoying everything. And I think everybody else is too. I'm going to take out my gum. So, in MCU news today, it's come out that Scarlett Johansson is suing Disney for the way that it was, the way that the Black Widow movie was distributed. In her contract, she states that her attorney states that in her contract she said that she was guaranteed to have a theatrical release. And per that, her contract stipulated that she would be paid according to that contract, according to that theatrical release, i.e. people come in and see the movie, she gets paid. Well, with Disney more or less undercutting her, cutting her off at the knees, so to speak, and releasing that via digital platform on Disney Plus as a Premiere Access exclusive, I think is what they're calling it. Obviously, that hurt the theater crowd. Now, I went to go see it in a theater because I think Marvel movies have to be seen in theaters to really be appreciated. But I understand those who are like, you know what? Let's just watch the movie on our couch. We got 3 kids. By the time we get in, get popcorn, get candy, soda, hell, you could be in for a $60 or $70 night. Or you could watch it on your couch for like $25. So, in that situation, it's a no-brainer. So I get why Disney did it. But ScarJo has a big problem with it because it affected her payday. Again, understandably, I would be upset too. But what this comes down to is really kind of a messy breakup. Disney's done with Scarlett Johansson for all intents and purposes. Now, they could always bring her back. They could always do a multiverse thing and bring back the Black Widow, played by Scarlett. But they're setting up the new Black Widow, played by Yelena. That's what the point of Black Widow, the movie, was to move that forward. So, I don't think that, Disney's going to be crying if they don't see her at, parties and things like that. So, it just comes down to, I don't think Scarlett was happy with how the situation was handled. I don't think that she wanted it to be released the way that it was. And if we're being real, I don't think that she was happy with her movie coming 2 years after her death. Again, understandable. Now, the pandemic had a lot to do with that. It was due out last year. But even still, much like NXT, see how I got that back around to a circle? Much like NXT, it's tough to get involved in something where you know the ending. We knew that Black Widow dies. That's the end of it. Was it a fun movie? Sure was. Did I enjoy it? Hell yeah. Were there parts of it that I had some issues with? Yeah, here and there. Was it worth the money? Oh yeah, for sure. But, it is what it is. I think it should have came out probably 5 years ago before Endgame. But here we are. So, she's in the news for that today. So, you comic fans and MCU aficionados probably ended up seeing that. I wanted to mention it and just kind of give my 2 cents on that. My raw take, if you will. I am working on getting healthier, allegedly. I'm walking a lot. Today's tough. Woke up and my back was stiff. My legs hurt. I'm tired of walking, but if my buddy Ransom has taught me anything, it is that you walk until you can't walk anymore. And then you walk some more. Because that's where you really shine, you push yourself. So far, so good. I think I'm down like 7 pounds, 8 pounds, so that's exciting. So more to come on that. Just wanted to throw that tidbit out there. Real quick, I will mention before I jump into AEW that reportedly, thanks to my good buddy Ransom for sending me these links, Sasha Banks is set to come back tonight, that is July 30th on Smackdown, likely to be put into a SummerSlam program with Bianca Belair. If not, I don't know who the hell they're going to have Bianca face. And The Fiend is reportedly coming back imminently as well, likely for a SummerSlam match himself. I'm excited for Sasha's return. God help me, I'm excited for The Fiend's return. I just don't know how that's going to play out, though. Because again, and I'm bringing it around, when I know the end of the story, why get invested? And this has been the thing with Bray Wyatt for the last 7, 8 years. He gets this big push. He's made it look like this big monster. And then they pull the rug out from under him. Every single time. Swamp Wizard, gone. Wyatt family, gone. Remember that his first WWE title reign where he lost to Randy Orton at WrestleMania? Gone. Only for Orton to lose it to Jinder Mahal a couple weeks later. Bray Wyatt's a hell of a guy. Performer. He's a hell of a performer. Infidelity aside, I don't want to get into that. But he's a hell of a performer. He knows his wrestling. I'm also trying to get better at not looking up like this because I look like an idiot. He knows his wrestling. He knows what he can do, and he has a great mind for the business. And to see him just wallow in obscurity and mediocrity is just so frustrating. So, I'm cautious as to what they're going to do with him. I'm nervous. God help me, though, I'm excited to see him come back. I want to see what they do with him for the match of SummerSlam and where they end up putting him. So, but that's coming. I just wanted to drop that fast count news on you there. AEW this week was tremendous, as it always is. They had a great show, top to bottom. I see the look up thing there. Sorry. They had a tremendous show. The match of the night... I did it again, damn it. The match of the night was probably Jericho versus Nick Gage, but the 10-man tag was stellar as well. The 10-man tag felt like a big deal. They had... I love the entrance for Hangman and Dark Order. I love the entrances for the Elite, a la the Toon Squad. And, are you ready for this? Do. Great stuff. Good stuff. I love the stupid Indie Taker spot with the basketball in the crowd. Immediately turning on the Bucks because I think it was Nick missed the slam dunk. Like, that's fun. That's fun. I'm sure that wrestling purists like James E. Cornette are probably losing his mind about it. Wrestling shouldn't involve basketball. There shouldn't be any crossovers, motherfuckers. But, it's fun. It was a great spot, and it wasn't overdone. Well, what is potentially being overdone, though, in AEW is blood and gore. And I'm not talking about the War Games match. I'm talking about AEW's penchant for deathmatch style stipulations. So, of course, we've seen blood and gore, which was the War Games match, which was what it promised to be. We've seen the exploding barbed wire match, which I thought was really great up until the end. We've seen Jon Moxley, Lance Archer tear each other apart last week in the Texas Death Match. And then this week, Jericho and Nick Gage go on a banger where Nick Gage is suplexing him through light tubes, glass. I think there was a glass spot where Gage was Irish whipped off the top and through a pane of glass. And, of course, the pizza cutter spot. So, as an ECW guy, and I enjoyed ECW. I thought it was a great time. I can appreciate death matches. I can appreciate that style of match. I think that there's a place in wrestling for it. I think the critics will argue purists hate it. Absolutely hate it. Understandably, But here's what I'll say. I think it makes it way more special whenever you don't have them 2 or 3 times every 2 or 3 months. If you have 1 or 2 a month, it takes something that should be this big climactic pentultimate thing, and it just makes it, business as usual. It's difficult because I'm not a booker. I don't make $1 million ideas. I am part of a podcast with 20 subscribers. So, I get it. What's my frame of reference here? My frame of reference is a fan, as a lifelong fan. I just think that they need to space it out more. They had a wonderful lights out match with Moxley and I think Janela, and then Omega and Moxley had a wonderful lights out match, and then it kind of stayed away from it for a while. great. But now we're on a run where it feels like almost every week something is happening that's going to be insane and bloody. And again, no problems with that. I just want them to sprinkle it in a little bit better. Use it as a seasoning, not as your main course. Reportedly, there are conflicting reports, and the internet is the internet, so you never know what's true, what's not true until we see it on programming. Reportedly, AEW made a push for Brock Lesnar recently after the CM Punk and Bryan Danielson alleged signings. They wanted to bring in Lesnar too. One source said it was a done deal, that he was going to AEW. Another source said complete fabrication. They've talked once or twice. I don't know where to go with that. I don't know who to believe. I would love to believe that Lesnar would give Tony Khan a shot. I think Tony Khan has more money than Vince McMahon, at least to spend on Lesnar. So if Lesnar's looking for money and, no appearances, Tony Khan's going to be your guy, especially after the reported soft contracts of Punk and Bryan Danielson, where they don't have to make as many appearances. Oh, excuse me. And then they're probably getting boats of money. So, why not? A lot of people hate Brock Lesnar. I don't hate Brock Lesnar. I think Brock Lesnar is as advertised. He's a main event dude, and when he shows up, your card, your product feels like a bigger deal. You can hate Lesnar all you want for not showing up, not defending the Universal title when he had it. That's all very fair claims. At the end of the day, though, absence made the heart grow fonder. When Lesnar was around, the cards felt bigger. It felt like a can't-miss pay-per-view. And that's what it should be. Lesnar is best suited for a big fight attraction. He's not a guy that can do this every single week, because then his luster wears off, just like his first run. And again, I'm a big Lesnar guy. I always have been. But in his first run, he just became another guy. A guy that won a lot of championships very, very quickly. He won Royal Rumble and King of the Ring in his first year. I think he was also undisputed champion within his first year, and he beat The Rock for that title. Yeah, kind of a big deal. But at the end of the day, he just became kind of mired in the main event scene. As weird as that is to say. I think his second, the return, where we've seen him sporadically, has been far better. I think that he is killing it with what he's doing. And you know what? He seems to have that kind of proclivity to where, hey, he wants to live alone, obviously with Deborah. Obviously, or not Deborah, Sable, Rena. But he doesn't want to be bothered. He lives up in the great Northwest. He probably stalks and hunts his food. He's a badass. Legit badass. And I like that he's got the moxie and the chutzpah to say, well, if I don't want to do it, I'm not going to do it. I don't care how many millions of dollars you're shaking in front of my face. If I'm not interested, I'm not interested. So I think that would be a huge get for AEW. But I don't know that he would turn his back on Vince. As funny as that is to say, because we know that reportedly Lesnar has always been a highest bidder type of guy. He doesn't care about loyalty, he doesn't care about brands, he cares about money. Understandably. You do you, boo. But at the end of the day, he feels like a big deal because of his decisions. I would love to see him in AEW. I don't know that he'd be a great fit, but he'd be a great piece, if that makes any sense. So that's out there. I don't know how legit it is, but it's out there. And of course, they continue to, AEW that is, continues to tease tease Punk's debut. They've announced that the Rampage before All Out, which is actually the second or third, I think it's the second episode of Rampage. It might be the third, I don't know. But the episode of Rampage in Chicago before All Out will be deemed the first dance. Which is bullshit, because the first dance is actually going to be in the Peterson Event Center. I'll be there. My lovely wife will be accompanying me for both for Dynamite and Rampage. I'm excited as hell, man. I think both shows are going to be tremendous, especially with that being Rampage's debut. I think they're going to pull out some awesome stops. But they're advertising this show in Chicago as the first dance. And immediately after announcing that, they cut to Darby Allin promo, and Darby says something along the lines of, I'm here in AEW to fight the best wrestlers in the world, so if you think you're the best in the world, show up in Chicago. They can't beat you over the head any harder. So I don't know if it's a gimmick, I don't know if it's a troll job, or I don't know if they're actually going to live up to that and actually bring out Punk on Rampage before All Out. I think that here's the danger: if you don't do that, you're going to have an arena of Chicagoans ready to see their hometown hero, CM Punk, and they're just going to hijack the show. Whole night, CM Punk, CM Punk, CM Punk, whole night. So, I don't know. A lot of time between now and All Out to get things kind of stirred up. Speaking of, with the loss of Hangman and the Dark Order on Wednesday, Adam Page can no longer he's no longer the number one contender. I don't know what that means exactly. I don't know if he has to fight his way back up. I don't know if someone else is going to shut it all out. I mean, they're not dumb. AEW and the team at All Elite Wrestling is not stupid. They hear the Austin-esque pops for Hangman Page. They hear the enveloping cowboy shit chants. Hangman Page has become a certified star in All Elite Wrestling. So, I think now is the time. The crowd is ready to absolutely explode for him. I'm curious as to why they did it, other than to just, spice up the next 4 weeks of programming so that we don't know it's Hangman Page, and then we just get 4 weeks of, coming next week is the contract signing. Coming next week, Adam and Kenny go face to face. What I do know is this, is that SummerSlam has the potential to be an amazing show. NXT 36 has the potential to be an amazing show, with Walter and Ilya Dragunov already announced. I think Samoa Joe and Karrion Kross is official, and Rhea Ripley and Dakota Kai is heading that way as well. So right there are 3 big-time title matches. We have Isaiah Swerve Scott hiding in the wings with the North American title. Apparently, Hit Row are now faces. I'm cool with that. They seem like they're reacting well to fans, and that's cool, man. I dig it. We have Kushida with the Cruiserweight title that can be called up at any time. And obviously MSK with the tag team titles can put on great matches with anybody. So I think NXT 36 card could be amazing. It's a bummer that they're not going to be in like a 27,000 seat arena like they would be for like they had been prior. I like the CWC, but I think that NXT, if NXT is truly going to flourish, if they truly want to get their ratings up, they need to take them on the road, baby. That's the way we want it, baby. And especially with takeovers, man, like, get that shit in front of as many people as you can, because they will eat it up and spit it out back at you. In a good way. They'll give you the great vibe, so you can vibe off of them, and the performance will do better. It's just Wrestling 101. I know that Vince and Co. saved a ton of money by switching to Geico this year. Kidding, but they did save a lot of money. They're actually the quarter Q2 from 2021 is, I think, exceeding the mark. Bottom line is they're not hurting for money. Peacock having a lot to do with that, and that's the problem. The worse the product gets, the more money they seem to be making. The more money that they seem to be making, the less that they're going to want to change a damn thing. I don't know how to fix that. You can't fix it. You can't fix it because at the end of the day, they're a corporation. No pun intended. They're out to seek money and confirm money and get money for their constituents, for their board of directors, for their shareholders, etc. So, NXT being filmed in CWC, I'm sure is probably very cost prohibitive. All the same, I'd still like to see NXT 36 in front of a real arena. We'll see. But I think that it certainly can. Sorry, Mom, I can't talk now. I'm recording a video. So, that's in the works. NXT 36 is coming up. And then All Out, obviously, is going to be a tremendous show as well, with, presumably, Hangman versus Kenny for the title. Maybe CM Punk, maybe Bryan Danielson. You know, they have a great program with Ricky Starks and Brian Cage right now. Jericho and MJF is going to be popping. It's going to be lights out. You know, we know the Young Bucks put on a clinic anytime they're in the ring. So, you know, and, you know, Britt Baker, Thunder Rosa being officially all elite now. They have a lot of tools right now. And I didn't even mention Malachi Black, Cody, or El Idolo. So I think All Out's going to be a packed card. So in a span of like 2 or 3 weeks, we're going to have some amazing wrestling. And that's what it's about. It's just appreciating wrestling. Appreciating the things you have. Speaking of appreciation, we are less than 7 days away for the return of NFL football. I know a lot of people out there that are like, I hate the NFL because of the kneeling, I hate the NFL because of COVID restrictions, I hate the NFL, blah 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 blah. I don't give a fuck about your politics. I don't give a fuck about your feelings about athletes. I give a fuck about football. I love football. In the fall, I snort pumpkin spice, and I grab my scarf, and I light my pumpkin candles, and I watch football all fucking day. Saturday, Sunday, football, all fucking day. This guy's excited. August the 5th, I believe, Hall of Fame game, Canton, Ohio. Steelers and Cowboys. And yes, I know we're not going to see Ben Roethlisberger play. That's fine. We're probably not going to see Trent Richardson play. Najee Harris. I understand with a different generation. Najee Harris play. That's fine. I don't care. I want to see football. Men in black and gold running up and down the field again makes me happy. Happy. And I want to see people get their teeth knocked out. I want to see Najee Harris have an amazing rookie season. I want to see TJ Watt become the DPOY. I'm ready. I want to see the Buckeyes take the national title this year. I want to see him trump Penn State. I am ready. Here for it. My poor wife, God bless her, she's going to have to deal with me. I kind of sort of made her a Buckeye fan, so that's in the works. Still not a big NFL guy, or NFL person, but she tolerates college football, which is pretty cool. So, I think I'm done ranting for now. Although I will say one thing. So, again, those of you that know me know that I was a Matt Murray guy. When the Pens were in the playoffs, Pittsburgh Penguins were in the playoffs, Marc-Andre Fleury always seemed to kind of like fall into his own pressure. I was a big Matt Murray guy until he kind of did the same thing. When his father died, he was never really the same mentally. So that being said, the Vegas Knights traded Marc-Andre Fleury to the Blackhawks for, as I recall, not a lot. And Pittsburgh currently has a lot of promising up-and-coming goaltenders. They could have used a real good seasoned veteran that knew the fans, that knew the playbook. Somebody like Marc-Andre Fleury would have gone a long way. I'm disappointed that they didn't get Marc-Andre Fleury. That's a first for me. I've never been a Fleury guy, but given what he commanded, I think that they could have gone out and got him for, if nothing else, just a veteran presence in the goaltending. So we'll see. We'll see how that pans out for both for the Blackhawks and for the Pens. Pens probably going to just rely on what they got for goalies, so that's fine, but I still think it's a mistake. Oh, and the Pirates are still a team. Trading all their best players. I'm not even gonna dignify them with a segment on my show. Now I'm done ranting pretty much about the wide world of sports and everything else. I will say real quick though, I want to plug this. Hellbent, Poot the Bard's band, Hellbent, is playing at the Clearfield County Fair next Friday. That is 7 days from today, August the 6th. They play at 5 and 8 at the Grove stage. That's in the middle of the park. All you have to do is you have to pay admission to the park and then whatever you want for food, which, you know, if you're like me, this is something that you don't do often. Maybe you splurge and you get the funnel cake. Maybe you get that bloomin' onion. Maybe you get the corn dogs. Maybe you get the chicken tenders. Maybe you get the waffle cone. Maybe you get the deep fried Oreo. Maybe you get all of it. That's up to you. But you pay to get into the park. You get to see Hellbent twice. One at 5, one at 8. If you're looking for the area's premier hard rock and heavy metal band. Even classic rock. They play a ton of classic rock too. Every time I see them, they play something new. Last time they, when they played for the Roland Welker show, which by the way, Alone is awesome. Go watch Alone, season 7 if you haven't. Great show. Even at the Roland Welker thing that he had, his talk, they played a couple songs that I've never heard before, including Here Comes the Rooster, which was an amazing tune. So go see these guys. They put out energy. They leave it all on the stage for you. Go and show them support. Buy some Hellbent merch while you're there. And just support a great band. And continue to help your small town stuff, your local stuff. Yeah, I mean, Amazon's great and all, but if you can support local bands, support local bars, support local breweries, support local wrestling, do it, man, because don't take it for granted. The last year showed us everything. It said don't take this shit for granted. It could go away at any time. So, go see that next Friday, 5 and 8 at the Clearfield County Fairgrounds. It's not a long drive for me. It's only a couple hours. So there's no excuse for anybody here in the Western Pennsylvania area not to be going up and seeing it. Hope you guys are enjoying this. I'm enjoying doing it. And I'll see you guys next week, where I'm sure I'll have more wrestling to talk about and maybe some more football information. Ooh, here we go!